how the calendar works.
Okay.
You want,
I mean,
Okay,
why?
you just tell me you just can't, then it can't. Mathematically?
no, it's on a 19-year cycle,
Right.
but the reason Yom Kippur came out on a Friday or Sunday, of course, because of the Shabbos and the restrictions. Now, the reason you can't have Yom Kippur on a Tuesday is if Yom Kippur is a Tuesday, Hashana Rabbah would be a Shabbos, and you can't beat the Hashanas on Shabbos. So because you can't beat the Hashanas on Shabbos, Yom Kippur could not be a Tuesday.
yeah.
At least that's
You
the
mean
way.
Tuesday day, because this year it's Tuesday
But
night.
it's, I mean, it's all set
Oh,
up.
no,
I
no,
mean,
but
the
this year
calendar's
it's-
fixed.
Yeah,
so it's
Tuesday
like-
night.
It's
Well,
Tuesday
this
night.
year it's gonna be Tuesday night
Right.
and Wednesday.
But it can't be Monday night, it's a Tuesday.
No.
You know, I remember not that long ago, there was a circumstance where we did
Oh,
not.
Monday night, Tuesday, yeah, it could be a Monday night to
No, I remember there
Tuesday.
was a circumstance, maybe I had to do a Passover, I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe
Monday
the
night,
first,
yeah, you
maybe
can
the
have it
first
Monday
night.
night.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The first Seder was on a Friday night, and we didn't. That's right.
I
That's
knew there was a circumstance, I couldn't remember what it was.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
no, but,
I mean, you could, but we just didn't. We just didn't.
actually, it's not a conflict, but we in America or the world, we're on the solar calendar, 365. This holiday is on the lunar calendar. Ramadan the Holy Month could occur anywhere from February to August. We have a day fast. The Jewish calendar is a modified solar calendar, but it's based on 19-year cycles. And during the 19-year cycle, you add the lunar calendar, you add 7 months, we have February, the second month of Adar, which keeps it in sync with the festivals.
Shana Tova
I
to
sent
the
you the
rabbi.
location of my mom's place. And,
What?
I sent you the location.
Yeah, I saw it. I sent it to Nadav right away.
So we'll go over it in the morning, but I think I've got a game plan.
I'm gonna get here at like 8.
And we're starting at 9.
Shana Tova.
Yeah, I'll be here well before. I said,
Journey together.
the scope is limited.
After the holiday, you going someplace to see Rosh Hashana Yom Kippur?
Yeah.
The water park, no more water park.
Yes, yes.
It's a tradition now.
Every year I try to say, okay, maybe this time. No.
It's the thing. Even the big ones?
Yeah.
It is funny, I have we've been renting a house in Chicago at the beach in the summertime, it's lovely. And I said to a colleague of mine, that I've done at the summer, oh, my family goes to a place in Maine every year. And she actually brought children, and she's getting married, and so one age you decide they don't want to do it anymore. And she said, it hasn't happened yet. It was very sweet, she said, they're very close with their cousins, and every year they meet the cousins. I think we saw each other. Huh? Shana Tova?
So where are you going? Besides the water park?
We're gonna be there.
I'm okay, I'll shake anybody's hand.
Very nice.
I'm a talk.
It's been Nadav on Sunday night. He's going back. So. And then we'll do kinds of
I told Steve he's our program
Shabbat
manager.
after Yom Kippur will be in the city.
President in, out, in.
Yeah. Now, there were some presidents whose first language was not English.
My brother-in-law lives out there. He's a big fisher.
And he lives there.
Yeah,
Dutch.
he lives there
Brought up.
full time. COVID, and he has a.
And who's from New York, who's the eighth president?
Yeah.
Right, not too far from here. Yeah, in Sacramento.
He only spoke Dutch.
Are you going to staff?
Really? What?
So he's going to learn chapter.
Oh, you want to?
Dude.
Nice.
Was there a number?
Or if you want to go jet ski, you should let me know. Danny's there.
My house,
They do.
my grandmother.
He's got
Have you already?
He's got it. Really?
So I will work it. I'll work it.
Really?
Wow. You're already my kid's favorite. They still remember sitting with you in on the Brooklyn Nets. Remember
My
that?
parents were both very good.
Hi. Hi, guys.
What did you say?
How are you?
I'm not vying to be favorite, but I'd still.
Oh,
But you are.
please.
You are. Without even trying, you're doing a great job. I should get a muscle, shouldn't I?
You want my hair?
No.
Yes, yes, yes.
All four of my grandparents were not born here.
That's more to me.
I knew she.
Were any of your grandparents born in this country?
She's finishing.
Certainly no. All four of them were born in I was saying, it's unusual. I have three grandparents. I have three grandparents that were all born in this country. In the 1890s. One in Utica and two in the Bronx. Well, that's more typical. I've never met anyone else that has born in and one that was born in Shout out to Law Rabbi.
How are you guys?
My mother was Yiddish fluent.
Your mother,
My father did not speak.
So,
He was brought up in an English-speaking house.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes.
A few more minutes, I guess.
he was born here.
I know so many people are away.
We're away.
Like, not for the whole time, but they go to.
Yeah. We'll wait a few more minutes. I know it's a little light so far, but we'll get more.
So you like the review?
It's very interesting, yeah. All the stories I've heard before.
After all, when he came to this country at age 11,
Looking forward to the day when it's just, I got it, Steve.
And that I have no idea.
Maybe it's saying it.
So my parents, you know, okay, well, that's better than
Share just one thing about the liturgy that is very moving to me every single year, which is that traditionally if you say mincha right before Rosh Hashana, like 15 minutes ago, you're going to say your mincha. And it says in the Amidah for mincha, as it does in every Amidah all year long, bless Hashana Hazot, bless this year. And it's like, a lot of commentators ask, it's like, what do you mean? It's like the year has 5 more minutes in it, or 5 more seconds in it. And the answer is no, it's like there's always time. There is always time. There's always time. We'll begin with Baruch Hu on page 5.
Ay, 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 מעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני היי די 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 היי די די כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו והם נגי יומם ולילה ועבדתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני היי לה 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 שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל כל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננת לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרת מאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבת על מזוזות ביתך, ובפי שעריך. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Top of page 8.
המעביר בניו ונזרי ים סוף, את רודפיהם את צונאיהם בתהומות טיבה, וראו בניו גבורתו שיבחו והודו לשמור מלכותו ברצון. קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים, אדוני מי כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה מלכותך. ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 9 or 57 in the transliterated Siddur.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
He's right.
תקראו בחודש עופר בכסל יום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל הוא משפט לאלוהי יעקב. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה
בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביום אחד וחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי אב מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולם היה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה לשמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תוש בחתה ונחמתה דמירן ויענה וימרו אמן.
The formal text of the Silent Amidah is on pages 11 through 16, but now is a most appropriate time for private prayers and reflections as well.
we'll try together a new nigun. So I'll start and you'll join me. My sons will help me in the back, I hope. Nai dai 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 dai. We'll do that. Dai 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 la la. Da 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 da. Again. Nai 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 da da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da da da. One more time. There's a second part. We'll go slowly. We'll do that tomorrow and we'll join slowly and slowly. And then we'll get.
In the meantime, this is what you missed that day you were absent from 4th grade by Brad Aaron Modlin. Miss Nelson explained how to stand still and listen to the wind, how to find meaning in pumping gas, how peeling potatoes can be a form of prayer. She took questions on how not to feel lost in the dark. After lunch, she distributed worksheets that covered the ways to remember your grandfather's voice. Then the class discussed falling asleep without feeling you had forgotten to do something else, something important, and how to believe that the house you wake in is your home. This prompted Miss Nelson to draw a chalkboard diagram detailing how to chant the Psalms during cigarette breaks, and how not to squirm for sound when your own thoughts are all you hear. Also, that you have enough. The English lesson was that I am is a complete sentence. And just before the afternoon bell, she made the math equation look easy. The one that proves that hundreds of questions and feeling cold and all those nights spent looking for whatever it was you lost and one person add up to something. Study Shalem is page 19.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמיה אמן בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חונו יומך ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן אמן יהי שמירה במבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי לקודשה בריחו בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמה דאמירה בעלמה אמרו אמן תתקבל צלות עוד ובאותון בכל בית ישראל קודם אבוהון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל עושה השלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ואמרו אמן. Seated. Good Yantiv, everyone. I feel like I've been saying a lot recently, for those of you who have been following along, that I was originally planning to talk about one thing, and then sort of the last minute I decided I wanted to talk about something else, and I believe in being prepared and working ahead. And I also believe that when the moment is asking, or you hear the moment asking you to say one thing, you should kind of like listen. So I'm going to. And I'm going to share some stories. And first I want to share that I am not, generally speaking, a beach person. There are people that are beach people, and there's a marvelous episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry's therapist suggests that he take his wife to the beach, and she sits there and she says, "Don't you feel relaxed?" And he says, "I feel agitated because I'm missing what other people are getting."
Perfect for them.
And I suppose I don't feel exactly that way about the beach, but I'm not generally a beach person, except I find when I go to Israel. And when I'm in Israel, I become this beach guy. Like, what I want to basically do is go to the beach. And I don't know how to explain that. And it reminds me, sort of the first little story I'm going to share, which is this marvelous story by Etgar Keret, who's an Israeli writer, short story writer, and he has a marvelous story about a young man who meets this wonderful girl. And she's really beautiful and understanding and patient and just everything you could want or he could want in a girlfriend. And the first night they're together, they spend the night together. At midnight, she turns into this really fat, balding soccer fanatic. And then in the morning, she turns back into the girl. And it goes on like this. And I suppose I feel a little bit like that
like when I go to Israel. I go to Israel and I turn into this like beach bum. Like all I want to do is sit on the beach. And I did that quite a lot this summer with my boys. We were in Israel for 2 weeks, my family and I, and the highlight was really doing nothing in Tel Aviv. It really was. And we spent hours and hours at the beach, which my children love, and I had these memories of doing that as a kid myself. And I used to call it fighting the waves. And I still very clearly, I can picture in my mind, the light and the taste of the salt and my children's beautiful little bodies as they fought the waves, like I did when I was a kid, and like our ancestors, I suppose, have been doing in that sea for thousands of years, with bodies that are mostly made up of the same thing as the sea. And so I just want to tell you some of my favorite stories about water. The first one is in the Gemara. Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Akiva are one time traveling at sea on separate boats. And Rabban Gamliel, it is a storm, and Rabban Gamliel sees that Rabbi Akiva's boat is destroyed by the storm. And he assumes Rabbi Akiva has been lost. And he's in mourning as he makes his way in his still intact boat back to the shore. And a few days later, he's walking on the beach, and there's Rabbi Akiva. And he's sort of astounded, and he said, "How did you get there? How did you get back?" He said, "Well, I found a piece of wood from the boat, which the Gemara very interestingly calls a daf, which is the same word meaning a page of Gemara. But I found this daf of wood, and whenever a wave would come by, I would nod my head at the wave, and they carried me home." The next story about waves, and I think Barry and Roger heard me share this at Slichot about a week back, is from Ramdas. And it's a story about two waves, a big brother and a little brother, a big tall one and a little smaller wave, and they're rolling along. And at some point, the little brother, the little wave, notices and how the waves are bubbling around him, that there's something going on with his big brother. And he says, "What's going on up there? How are you?" And the big brother says, "I don't want to tell you, it's too horrible." And the little brother says, "I'm your brother, you could tell me anything." And he convinces him, and finally the big wave says, "I can see over in the distance, not too far. All the waves are crashing against the land, and they disappear." And the little brother says, "Big brother, it's okay. We're not just waves, we are also water." The third story about waves is a story also about friends. The Kotzker Rebbe and his dear friend Itzela Vorka, the Vorker Rebbe. And they made a pact in life that whichever one dies first is going to come back and kind of fill his friend in on what's doing in the afterlife. And so it turns out that the Vorker Rebbe dies first. And the Kotzker is very excited because his friend is going to come back and tell him what's going on. And a day passes and doesn't come back, and another day passes and doesn't come back, and he doesn't come back. And so the Kotzker Rebbe is concerned for his friend, and so he decides to make his own ascent into the heavens, which is something that the Rebbes could do, apparently. I didn't learn that skill yet. So he goes up to check on his friend, and when he gets up there, heaven is just how the rabbis imagine it, which is to say it's a bunch of Batei Midrash. It's a bunch of sheer lectures, basically, with different great rabbis. And, the Rambam's got a lecture going on, and Miriam's got a lecture going on, and Sari Menu's got a lecture going on, and Rabbi Akiva's got a lecture going on. He goes into all of these different lecture halls, and the Vorker is nowhere to be found. And he's sort of amazed by this. And he says, well, the Rambam, okay, it's a little dry, but it's the Rambam. You're not going to go learn from the Rambam? And no, he's not. Finally, he asks someone who says, well, we saw him go that way. And he gestures into this tangled and terrifying woods. And the Kotzker Rebbe's nervous, but he's concerned for his friend, and so he goes off into the woods. And this part of the story is mysterious, because in all the versions that come down to us in this story, they say we don't know what goes on in the woods, and we don't know how long he was there. So that I can't tell you, because we have not merited that yet. In all the versions it says that. But finally he comes out of the woods, and he sees this vast ocean. And the waves are crashing against the shore, and the sound of the waves just chills him. The sound of the waves just chills him, and the spray is freezing. And he sees on a rock that's been surrounded by the waves the Vorker Rebbe. And he's standing there. The waves are crashing up against him, and he's just standing there. And he calls out to him. He says, Itzala, Yitzchak, Itzala, what are you doing here? The Rambam's got a shear back there. And he says, Menachem, do you know what this ocean is? And he says, no, I don't know. And he says, it's the tears of everyone who has ever suffered, and everyone who is ever lonely, and everyone who faced injustice, and everyone who was ever sad. And I swore to God I am not moving from this spot until she dries them all up. He's just standing there. So I like these three stories for a lot of reasons. I love how in the third one, the Vorker Rebbe is willing to change his plans. How even in death, when our task is in theory over, even then he rises to a new challenge. How he is attentive to the fact that the moment is asking from him something new. As perhaps this moment that we are all sharing is asking of us something new. And I also like these stories because of how gentle they are. Neither the Vorker Rebbe nor Rebbe Akiva fight the waves. They are simply there, allowing them to wash over them, which is of course the point of the Ramdas story as well, and insisting with their presence that sadness need not last forever, that though we are storm-tossed and battered, we are not only storm-tossed and battered. And though the waters are fearsome, they can also be bracing and clarifying, and they can also be soft and restorative. Our tradition, which is a tradition born of the desert, often imagines water as the primary symbol of salvation. The wells dug and redug by each of our ancestors, and the Even Shtiyah of the ancient rabbis, which literally means the drinking stone. This pillar of the universe on which Isaac rested his head and looked up at Abraham's knife, and which holds the primordial waters at bay, and which will one day overflow and transform the desert into a garden. And the troubled waters that greeted a poor people as they fled for their lives and would not split until one man named Nachshon took it upon himself to walk out into those waves. And still they didn't split, and they're calling to him, they don't split until he's up to his eyeballs. So says the Midrash. Hanar yotzei mi'eden lashkot et hagan. The water runs from Eden to water the garden, far and away. The verse that the Zohar, the greatest of our mystical texts, cites more than any other. An orienting symbol, a recapitulation of all reality, that the river flows, and the waves come and never stop. There are so many riptides in life, and there are so many places where the river narrows into rapids, and places where the waters dash us against the rocks, and sometimes we do need to struggle to stay afloat. We need to expend all of our energy kicking and screaming and saying, "No, I will not go down." But sometimes we don't. Sometimes we are reminded that the waters carry us where they will and ask of us nothing more than a nod of recognition. And a short prayer. And in this moment, I hope we can all take a moment to realize that the tides of our life have carried us here. Not here in general, but here right now. To listen to whatever this very moment has to tell us. The last story I'll tell about waves is very, very short. And it's from Langston Hughes. And it's Wave of Sorrow. Do not drown me now. I see the island still ahead somehow. I see the island and its sands are fair. Wave of sorrow, take me there. Kiddush is on page 24.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, הבורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל עם ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה את יום הזיכרון הזה, יום תרועה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל, ויום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם דרכנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
continue with the psalm for Elul on page 27.
לדוד אדוני ומי שמי לולא האמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קבל אדוני חזק ויאמץ ליבך, וקבל אדוני.
Morning's Kaddish is on page 26. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל לשמי דקודשה ברכו. לעילה לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. Yasher koach to Avinam for the first of many beautiful tefillot that he will lead us through the next several days and weeks. It's my pleasure to invite our President Steve up to make the announcements.
The answers our services tomorrow at 9 in the morning. Look forward to seeing you all then.
Great, short and sweet. Love it.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצא ואין מציאותו, אחד ואין יחיד כייחודו, נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו, אין לו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון בין ראשית לראשיתו הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר יורה גדולתו ומלכותו שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד נביא ומביע את אמונתו תורה אמת נתן לאהל היד נביאו נאמן ביתו לא חליפה אל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו צופה ויודע סתרנו מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו נותן להשערה כרישתו ישלח לקץ ימים משיחנו לפדות מחכה קץ ישועתו מתיר יחייל ברוב חסדו ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. שנה טובה. שנה טובה.
What you missed when you're absent